Livia, how are investors approaching China as the pandemic widens between the country and the rest of the emerging markets? Is it partly just people are realizing China's second biggest economy in the world? It really isn't much of an emerging market anymore.
Yeah, we're seeing that some of the world's largest investors like Amundi and Rebecca are actually having separate investment strategies just for China and also the larger Asia region because there's increasing demand from clients who previously invested in just global EM funds to really target the China growth. As you said, China is the second largest economy in the world and also the largest EM economy. It's become this clear pole of global growth that can't be ignored, according to BlackRock. There's this clear case for bigger allocations to just China-exposed assets for that diversification. We're also seeing evidence of this new approach in flows itself. China equity funds have had the biggest outperformance against global EM funds since 2007.
So there's a real case, and a lot of investors have been saying this, right, of treating China as an entirely different beast when it comes to it being an investment destination.
Yes, especially we can see that in this year's performance. You know, China led the pandemic recovery, and in terms of stocks and currencies, it's also outperformed nearly all of its EM peers. On top of that, there are also long-term structural trends that investors are very keen on, such as the removal of barriers to foreign investment, the reforms in stocks and bonds, and also China's entry into global benchmark indexes. On top of that, the economy is still continuing to diversify toward domestic consumption and higher value-add services and technology. If you look at the GDP, it's the only major economy to grow this year, and it's also going to expand about 8.2% next year, according to estimates. So that's really different from the rest of the emerging markets.
So, Livia, China's recently lagged global emerging market performance as we get, this wave of optimism on vaccine optimism, I should say, which could fuel more recovery in these other parts of the world. Is that just a temporary correction between these two groups of investments? What's the outlook for next year?
So Chinese stocks have definitely underperformed since the vaccine news and the U.S. elections as other EM countries are playing catch up with this global cyclical recovery. But the outlook for 2021 is still quite optimistic. China is going to keep rebounding from the pandemic, and analysts are also expecting a Biden presidency to be a bit more predictable and could lead to probably warmer U.S.-China relations. So then there's expectation of partial removal of tariffs or even easier tax sanctions that could help boost the market.